What is up, guys? Unseen Protagonist here to showcase you actually quite an interesting matchup. On the left, we got Timelord with my teammate Alex. I'm sure you have seen this playmat before, so I'm sure you know it's Alex. And on the right, we actually have a newer player. His name is Reed. He's playing Spacian on the right. He's a newer player that I helped him. I recruited him, helped provide him with this deck, and he has fine-tuned it to make it his own, and also a little string pulling on my end to help him get more cards to improve. But it looks like we're starting the die roll here. I think Reed rolled a 9 while Alex rolled a 4, so that means Reed is probably going to go second since Spacians are kind of better known to be a beatdown style, which is his play preference, so this is perfect for him. I believe they are discussing, I believe they're doing the trash talking so that way they can get their game on, as Jaden says, speaking of Spacian Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and also another form of Reed's trash talking is he likes to do image tracing. So he does that a lot. I'm just joking, but he is just joking around, having a little fun, since he is the person who wishes to have fun at competitions. Anyway, it looks like they're making their preparations. And also, I'm sure you noticed why I was a little late. I had some events come up, unfortunately. However, though, as soon as I got done with my Tuesday tasks, I immediately got to work on this project. So hopefully, I'll have this up early morning Wednesday probably, and so please forgive me on that. Like I said, consistency is definitely what needs to be done on my end. But anyway, yeah, so on the left we got Timelords, and then on the right we got Spacian, so it's kind of like Zone versus Jaden. And honestly, I think you'll love this matchup. I was going to say, after looking at this match over, looking at the interactions, and kind of just how they responded was mostly interesting. Though there was a few misplays, though, I noticed, but I was going to say, hey, we're all human here, right? Sometimes we make misplays, sometimes the best players don't play perfectly. But anyway, so Alex starts the duel off by normal summon Michion the Timelord. That's the one where it halves the life points at the end of the battle phase, if I recall correctly. Archetype's new to Reed, so I guess he needs to ask, make sure he understands the cards. Since, as Alex tells me, it's a deck where it will punish you if you do not read. Since most people say, oh, it's 0 attacks, okay, I'll take it out. But obviously, it can't be struck by battle or card effects, and it'll halve your life points. So Reed initiates a second turn. He sets a monster. And then he activates Neos Fusion. So he's going to fusion summon from the deck. What is he going to fuse, is the question. He's fusing an Elemental Hero Neos, obviously, so it has to be specifically Elemental Hero Neos listed on the card. Nice thing about the Spacian deck is you have a multiple fusion monsters to go into. Though seeing his playstyle, I think I might know what he's going into. It looks like he's taking a look. Unfortunately, I think I see him giving the Nebula Neos the eye. Unfortunately, he can't play that, seeing it requires 3. It's a triple contact fusion, as what Jaden says. Looking into Grand Neos, say Dark Neos would be looking pretty good right now. But yep, he sends the Dark Panther deck to grave. Yep, he is going to fuse an attempt for Elemental Hero Dark Neos. And its effect is it can target a monster and negate the effects. And obviously, since Neospace ain't on the field, it goes back to the extra deck at the end of the turn. So I believe he will enter battle phase, tend to attack the Michion, and then here comes the real beatdown play. He discards Elemental Hero Honest Neos, giving him 2,500 attack, thus pounding him for 3,000 points of damage. Though at the end of the turn, Dark Neos returns back to the extra deck. And that puts Alex at 3,000 life points entering the third turn of this game here. So then Alex special summons Time Main since he controls no monsters. I believe Reed might have a response to some form of interaction, I'm kind of seeing that Ash in his hand. So he pitches to Ash and attempts to add. The Tribune is cost, so Ash in the Time Main is actually a really good play. Then Alex counters with the spell Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. It's basically a dark hole and gives them 2 kaijus that have to engage combat all the time, it seems. So he destroys the set monster. And I'm kind of curious what that set monster was. Oh, it was a Spacian Grand Mole. He was using it for extra defense to bounce monsters to his hand. Really good since it's Time Lords, basically, and I believe if I remember correctly, it would have to be on the field for the timers to resolve effects, so Grand will be a good interaction. But anyway, off of Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, Alex gives Reed a Gamma Seal, while Alex gives himself a Jizukiru. And it looks like he entered battle phase and used Jizukiru to attack the Gamma Seal, dealing 1,100 points of damage. Putting him at 6,900. Then we're entering 4th turn, redraws for turn. He sets another monster. Interesting move. Wondered what he had in his hand. But anyway, as we enter 5th turn, Alex drew. Looks like he drew a Camion the Timelord. Good draw, actually. Not good now, but definitely useful. And I think Alex is kind of in a tight spot. I think his hand is just flooded with board wipes. But he banishes the Interrupted Kaiju Slumber from the graveyard in hopes of searching for a Kaiju. So he searches for another Gamma Seal. He enters battle phase and attacks a set, and the set monster was another Grand Mole. So Grand Mole returns to the hand, and Jizukiru goes to the hand too. Weird move, not preferable, but seeing the conditions, it seemed like a really good play. Then, Alex entered main phase 2 in Normal Stone Camion the Timelord. And that's the one that shuffles cards to the deck and deals 500 points of damage. He passes and we enter the 6th turn for Reed. Then he top deck another Neos Fusion, so I believe he is about to attempt to fuse again. He sent a Dark Panther and Elemental Hero Neos. I believe is he going to Dark Neos again? If he is, that actually a really good play. I say he could go into Grand Neos, that'd be another option, but he would just spawn the monster back. Seeing he had Kaijus too. But he fuses into Elemental Hero Dark Neos and discards Honest Neos to make it 5,000, and I believe Alex scoot because Dark Neos can negate Camion's effect. So that's it for game 1, and we'll go ahead and enter game 2. Yeah, I kind of like the interaction back and forth. I guess as like a little spoiler, game 3 is actually quite an interesting matchup. It kind of reminds us of old school Yu-Gi-Oh days. I remember Reed saying, I know this game's awesome, but I prefer us to have just the set one monster and pass. Which is fair. I think we all miss those days, and sometimes we all have that guilty pleasure every now and then. But yeah, as I was say, game 3 is kind of similar to that. You'll see the interaction. But it looks like we're entering the side decking phase. But yeah, and I guess be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know if there's any interesting plays that they could have done to improve their interactions or, make it better. But look, I'm seeing some sign options, and oh dear, they look most interesting. Alright, looks like we're entering game 2 here. So, I believe Alex would want to go second, since both of them are going second decks, as far as I recall. Another interesting thing I like about this match is that both these play the decks that they ultimately enjoy, because Alex, when he started playing competitively, I think he started playing competitively about the time I started, about a couple months before, if I recall correctly. But, no, he grabbed Time Lords, and he's been working on it ever since he started playing competitively. It's kind of like how I am with my Cybers deck. I started right when Lynx came out. But anyway, we enter turn 1 of game 2. Activates Pop Extravagance, which is met with an Ash. Good hit. I know that the blind draws aren't really the best thing to stop, though seeing that it is consistent of board wipes, that Time Lords are consistent of board wipes, drawing those board wipes would be very helpful in the deck. So using that Ash to hit the Extravagance was most certainly a good hit. But I believe Alex wanted to banish 6, because obviously you have to do the cost of banish, like Pod Desires. You gotta do your banish tennis cost before you can ash it. Reed did kind of jump the gun on that one, but either way, I mean, even if Alex did have use the cost, it'd still be that. But it looks like Alex passed. Obviously a good hit. Looks like we entered turn 2 here with Reed. Looks like we're about ready to start seeing some more beatdown plays. He sets a monster. I stand corrected, not a beatdown play this time. He sets a monster and passes, and Alex will draw for turn 3, excuse me. And Alex special summons Time Maiden in hopes of busting out another Timelord. I believe he puts it in his hand. But he puts Michion. Michion seems to be the best Time Lord right now, it seems. That and Sendaion. Michion and Sendaion, I tell you, those two comboing off, it's crazy. You can deal a free 8,000 damage too. But yeah, he adds to the hand. And he normal summons Michion because he doesn't have any monsters. He acts Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. And only Reed's set monster will be destroyed because Michion cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. And it looks like Reed's set monster is a Flare Scarab. Not really the best, even though Alex does play back row, but really it's kind of like back row as an evenly matched and infinite impermanence, so not necessarily back row, but hand traps. So probably good for him to have that. So that Flare Scarab was a dud for him. But it looks like same history repeats itself, like in game 1. Reed was given the Gamma Seal, and Alex gave himself the Jizukiro, the Star-Destroying Kaiju. And then it looks like that Alex might be going to his Xyz package. But of course, so enters battle phase. Michion attacks the Gamma Seal, and Jizukiro will attack the Gamma Seal, dealing 1100, and then Michion will then have the opponent's life points, putting Reed down to 3,450 life points. Great play on Alex's part. Took a huge chunk out of his life points. And Alex entered main phase 2 and overlaid the 2 level 10s in order to Xyz summon a number card. Shouts to all you Zexal fans. It looks like he goes into number 35. So every time the opponent special summons, every time Reed special summons, he is dealt 600 points of damage, and it's every time he special summons. And also, the attack points of that number card happens to be the difference in life points and such. And it looks like, looking at the difference of life points, the attack defense, by the way, the attack defense of that spider happens to be 4,550. And not even Reed's most powerful trump card cannot get past that. It'd be 50 short. Corso, Alex will set 1 card and passes. And Reed will draw for turn, entering turn 4. He sets a monster again, trying to deal with the 600, excuse me. Alex draws for turn five. He switches battle modes with the number, then we'll Star-Destroying Kaiju that. The set monster was Grand Mole. And then he uses the final effect of the spider. He can destroy all face-up monsters the opponent's controls that have less than or equal to its attack points, if I remember correctly. That card's really underrated. Then he attempts to swing for game, which that is game 2, ladies and gentlemen. And I believe they do some quick side decking. But other than that, I would say that was kind of a swift game 2, but most certainly interesting. I was going to say kind of one-side game 2, but game 3 will hopefully be shown to be more exciting to the viewers here. But yeah, and actually, I believe, I could be wrong, but this is the first time that Reed against Alex at our local tournaments. I believe this is the first time they've been pushed to Game 3. I'm sure they're going to fact check me on this as soon as they watch this video, so I could be wrong, but I believe this is the first time. Could be wrong. So then they're shuffling up for the fateful match of round 2, I believe. I believe this is round 2 of the locals. Next match, by the way, I should be able to post, actually a new matchup. It was Eldritch versus Salmon Grates. Eldritch was my friend Rico, who I did a deck profile earlier, and on the right was me playing Salmon Grates. I do plan on showing off an updated Salmon Grate deck profile, though not really much has changed, unfortunately, seeing it's a rogue deck. Can't really change too much, unlike a meta deck, really. So, or like you won't have as much sources, actually, because it seems like the decks are kind of preset, but of course, I won't have enough sources seeing it's a rogue deck, and honestly, I kind of had to bend backwards for this. But anyway, we start game 3 with a Prohibition. He declares Neos Fusion, if I recall correctly, which is honestly the best fusion in a Neo-Spacian deck right now. You can't special summon, but still it gives you that Bale Link's protection. But re-enters turn 2, activates Pot of Duality. Interesting choice for the deck, not my preference, but it looks like, oh, that's a dud. He activated Neos Fusion, but I believe he puts the Ash Blossom in his hand. Reason why, obviously, I would not recommend Pot of Duality in a Neo-Spacian deck is because you can't special summon. He puts the Ash Blossom in his hand. Probably the best pick out of all that, since I don't think he has any low-level hero monsters. He mainly just has Neo-Spacians. But he sends to grave, and I believe this was a misplay on his part. He didn't read the fine print of Pod Duality. With Miracle Contact, he can contact fuse, but unfortunately Pod Duality does not allow him to do that, which is fine. It seems to be too early playing using those cards right now. Seeing that he has 2 sets and really no monsters, I think he just has a Kaiju in his hand. So, yeah, as I believe Reeds is starting out slow. He sets a monster and passes the turn. We enter turn 3 with Alex's move. Didn't see what he drew there, but I can assure you it is most likely a board. Oh, never mind, it's a Prohibition. If he uses that, he's going to cripple Reed even more. When he activates the Prohibition and he declares Miracle Contact. So, yeah, as I say, Neo-Spacian is all about the fusion summoning and busting out the fusion monsters. So Alex is trying to seal off as many of those fusion cards as possible. We enter turn 4 with Reed entering draw phase, main phase, it looks like. And I believe he sets another monster. Playing a little defensive here, not his typical style, but I think he said he wanted to play cautiously from when him and I discussed the match. But turn 5, Alex attempts to activate another Pop Extravagance, and like I said before, his to repeat itself is met with an Ash. Though, since Alex knew about that, I believe he chose to banish 3 cards. Weird play, but definitely works. Looks like he banished a Gustav Mask, a couple of the number cards. I know he plays a lot of the 7 Sins cards, like the Tarantulas, the 7 Sins, if I recall what that card name's right. But yeah, it looks like Alex passes and redraws for turn. His 2 set monsters, and I think he wants to try to tribute summon too. But, yep, he tribute summons for Elemental Hero Honest Neos, uses the effect discarding an Elemental Hero Neos to give its attack to Honest Neos, so 2,500, making it 5,000 attack points. Though I believe Reed might have jumped the gun here because he takes us to ask if he has a response, and it looks like Alex does with Torrential Tribute. So he keeps the Neos because he did on summon. He could have chained it, but honestly, the only way I'd see it because he could Miracle Contact, but that card cannot be activated due to the second copy of Prohibition on the field. Which honestly, it looks like, in case you guys haven't noticed, they kind of entered a game state where they really don't do much. They really got to top deck a lot, which, not gonna lie, these are my favorite type of matches. So it looks like we enter turn 8 here. Redraws a card. Normal summons Neo-Spacian Air Hummingbird. This round was not 40 minutes for them, but man, that would come in clutch. But he normal summons the Air Hummingbird and uses the effect. He gains 500 life points for every card in Alex's hand. And it looks like there was 3, giving him a 1,500 life point boost point at 9,500. Enter turn 9. Alex draws a card. Kaiju's for Gamma Seal, which is good. I mean, Air Hummingbird was weaker, but I believe he just needed a monster. Normal Summons the Michian, Special Summons Jizikuru, because Reed has a Kaiju. And then I believe this is where the beatdown comes to play. Michian attacks the Gamma Seal, no damage is dealt. Jizikuru attacks, dealing 1100 to Reed, putting him at 8400. And then Michian halves the life points, putting him at 4200. If Reed did not use the Neo-Spacian Air Hummingbird's effect, he probably would have been a tougher spot. But then he overlays him into the same number card. Into the number 35. This time, though, would only have 3,800 attack and defense. Still, though, powerful defensive power. That came out. And we enter the 10th turn. Reed draws a card. And he is having the issues, though, with, since every time he special summons, he will get punished for it. Not significantly, though. He does have enough life points to try going full combo, and it's a Neo-Spacian beatdown deck. You really don't have to do much special summoning. But I believe Reed had a question to ask. Alex is a judge, by the way, and since it is locals, hopefully none of you guys yell at them for asking rulings. But Alex is a really good judge, actually. He can give you a lot of good insight on things. But I believe he wanted to use Dark Parent's effect to copy the effect of Ravenous Tarantula, where it gains attack. So it's basically that plus 1,000. If that ruling is correct, feel free to let me know in the comments. Because I remember it saying to copy the effects. I'm pretty sure that number said its attack becomes. But like I said, I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments. I'm always more willing to accept criticism and understand the card rulings, because he barely plays that number against me, actually, in our playtesting matches, Alex and I. Actually, it's Infinite Impermanence, but I think Reed wanted to rewind on that. He is new, but don't do that, kids. But he actually has Fusion Deployment, and I want to take this time and mention he probably should not have played that Fusion Deployment there, because he knew Infinite Impermanence was there, because it would close off the spell and trap card too. Fortunately for him, though, I believe Alex chose not to activate it, seeing the number of cards in his hand, and the way he was holding on to it didn't really seem like he could use them. But he plays Fusion Deployment to reveal Dark Neos and intends to special summoning it. Then due to Ravenous Tarantula, if I'm saying that right, he gets dealt 600, thus making Tarantula even more stronger to 4,200 attack and defense points. But of course, though, Reed can only special summon fusions, but he's extremely limited, so he's kind of just going primitive Yu-Gi-Oh! As in try to plow through. But he's using Dark Panther's effects to copy them, making them both 4,200 plus 1,000, making it 52. But the Dark Panther will attempt to strike into the number card. Thank goodness for not Zexual rules, right, everyone? That's a terrible, terrible joke on my part. But Dark Panther takes it out, and the Dark Panther attacks directly for, I think, just 3,600? Say, my math could be off here. Of course, so I did listen to their talking before I edited this and everything, so the math could be wrong, but anyway, I believe Alex takes some significant amount of damage, but yep, takes 3,600, putting him at 4,200 life points left. Then Alex will draw, entering the 11th turn. He sets one card and passes. So then Reed will draw for turn, entering the turn number 12. This is already way above average of typical games that we usually play in. But I believe he wanted to tribute summon. If I recall correctly, he is kind of taking his time. He is fairly new to the competitive environment, so please bear with me when I say that he is new, and he did admit he did make a few misplays, and which is fine. Like I said, we are all human. No need to, I guess, be judgmental about that, right? But anyway, he tribute summons, I believe, for the OG Elemental Hero Neos. He activates Torrential Tribute, which destroys all monsters on the field, which is just Neos. Which is smart, because Alex is trying to conserve his life points, seeing he just took a massive ton. But I believe Reed passes, because both their decks are kind of fairly glass can, but still, fun match. Then Alex dropped for turn. I think he drew a Dark Hole, so he has to sit on the card, sit on that again, and redraws for turn. Entering turn number 14, he sets a card again. Since he knew that was an imperm, that was probably a bad play on his part, but he sets a card and pass. Alex draws for turn. He drew an Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. I believe Reed is catching on to those board wipes. But then redraws for the 16th turn. Normal Keeper Dragon Magic. Oh, he can discard a card to add a fusion spell card like Polymerization, etc. But yeah, no, and then Keeper Giant is met with an Imperm, and like I said, because Imperm happened to close off that column on his far right set card, so he couldn't use it. Of course, though, it's just for the turn. But I believe this is where I say, make sure your column placements are essential, everyone. Seeing that Imperm's kind of slowly making its way back into the competitive format, I have noticed. Which is kind of nice, so Imperm's kind of one of my favorite hand traps. But it means our turn number 17, he special summons Time Maiden. Then he tributes it to search for a Timelord. I believe he searched for Camion the Timelord, if I recall. Yep, he searches for Camion the Timelord. Which is good, because seeing that Reed is slowly building up a formation, it is important that Camion would have to try to shuffle the cards back, and not to mention, a lot of people seem to forget that you cannot respond to Camion's effect, which is very convenient. Then he normal summons the Camion, naturally. Then he activates Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, and same deal like the Michion, only Keeper Dragon Magic will get destroyed. And then, as before, Reed gets Gamma Seal, and Alex gets Jizukiru. And then Jizukiru will attack the Gamma Seal, dealing 100, putting Reed at 2500. And Camion attacks for 0, obviously, which is Alex's true objective is to shuffle that last set card into the deck, dealing 500 with no response whatsoever, unfortunately. Putting Reed at 2000, and then main phase 2, Alex overlays into Super Dreadnought Cannon, Rail Cannon Gustav Max. To use the effect, detaches 1 to deal 2,000 points of damage, which Reed is not in the danger zone. So after 17 turns of game 3, that's well above average to your typical competitive games, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, after 17 turns, like after the whole grind with like either setting monsters, setting spells and traps, and trying to push for damage, Alex came out on top on this set. So, and then guys, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. If you are interested in these deck profiles, please post in the comments. I have been unable to post a lot of deck profiles recently. I have a lot of matches to share, though not a lot of deck profiles. So if you are interested in seeing something that are interested in seeing these deck profiles that you see, let me know and I can see what I can do for you guys. I can definitely do the people that I am good friends with, like Alex and Reed. They're both great players. I would say shoutouts to Reed for wanting to try out Yu-Gi-Oh! He is enjoying the game a lot. He actually used to play Magic. He still does on his pastime. But he enjoys playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And he did want to play the game competitively. So I asked him, hey, we're going to a box tour in Cheyenne. You want to join us? And he's like, heck yeah, man. But yeah, I was going to say, he is improving a lot as a player. Of course, though, Neos is not necessarily the best deck. Of course, though, I have noticed some Numeron Neos OTKs. Let me know in the comments if you think that's something you are interested in seeing in. Because I am trying to help Reed improve his Neos deck, because he seriously wants to make that deck competitive. But anyway, this is Unseen Protagonist here. Sign out. Have a good one, everyone.